also. Oh, what I just did. All right. Okay. This is Sports for Real. I don't know what I just did. I don't want to do that, so I want to get rid of it. All right. This is Sports for Real with Coach Hall. Didn't get a chance to go online yesterday, but, you know, I'm back today. Got a little bit of time to wrap it out. And there's a whole lot of things to discuss going on in the sports world. Me, I'm an old sportsman. I'm into all sports. But I have to admit that the NBA can be awfully hard to watch. And all the things that are taking place in the NBA, all the things that take place during the regular season of the NBA just turns out to be unappealing to me. Kind of like what you're seeing today with the Pro Bowl down in Orlando when they're going to play flag football. I know it's two different sports, but the interest level in the two items are the same. But let's get this basketball stuff out of the way first. I don't do a whole lot of talking about basketball, but sometimes you have to actually mention what's going on in basketball. If you didn't know, the Lakers, the Mavs, and the Jazz, they had a 3-team trade. And the basketball world they're losing their minds because Anthony Davis, who had been paired with LeBron James for the last several years, he won a championship that year when everybody was in the bubble. He has been traded along with Max Christie and a 229 first-round pick to Dallas for Luka Doncic, the guy that everybody thought that nobody would ever get a chance to trade for, the 25-year-old center. Very productive. Maxi Kleber and Markieff Morris. And the Jazz are going to get Jalen Hood-Schifino, a 225 second-round pick, and also a 225 second-round pick from the Clippers. Now, I'm not privy to all the different things that make up this trade, so I'm not going to even try to delve into that. But the top two headliners are Davis and Doncic. Davis is a productive player, but the thing about him, he is only productive when he's playing. He has missed an awful lot of time over the last several years due to injuries. So my question is, did the Mavericks make a mistake in trading for Davis? Well, let's look at him. Davis, he's got a championship. Doncic took his team to the championship. Davis had LeBron James to ride with. Doncic didn't have LeBron James to ride with. But now he's going to go to LA and pair up with LeBron James. But if I'm looking at this trade, I'm looking at two things. I'm looking at the age of the players, with Doncic being 25 and Davis being 31. And I'm looking at the injury history of these two players. And when I look at these two things, I don't think that Anthony Davis is a risk worth gambling on. Now, he's made some fans in Dallas happy by waiving that clause where he doesn't have to be, I forget what they call it. It's a special kind of clause in your contract that they can't trade you. And if you do get traded, they're going to pay you X amount of money. Well, he got rid of that. And so a lot of people are happy about that, which gives them the idea that he may want to stay in Dallas for a while. But I just don't think it's going to be too many 40-year-old players like LeBron James in the NBA. And you flip it around and look at the Lakers, their defense wasn't that great to begin with. Now you got a fella on the inside that doesn't help your perimeter defense very much. So unless you're going to be getting all the rebounds, I don't think this immediate trade is going to help the Lakers very much. And the question is, did LeBron know what was going on? And if he did know, how's he going to play with Doncic? Is this somebody he wants to play with? And the big question is, what are the Lakers going to do with LeBron? Well, he is 40 years old. No matter what the Lakers decide to do with LeBron, I don't think it really matters because he can still go somewhere and play. The biggest thing that might be asked is what's going to happen with his son. He's been in the headlines lately because a lot of people, they still don't think this guy's worthy enough to play in the NBA. His output is not that great. And when you have a good game in the G League, then all of a sudden you want to snatch him up and put him in the NBA. But he did that the other day and he got torched. And so much to the point where all the commentators are talking about it. Now LeBron James, he upset. He wants to know why everybody's dragging his son down. Well, I think that the kid is in a bad position because he knows he can't play. He knows he's not ready to play. And if he had any sense or any control of his own destination, he should have probably stayed in college for another 2 years, then tried to make a jump to the NBA. But everybody wants to be part of history, and he made history when he stepped on the floor with his dad to be the first father and son duo to be on the court together on the same team. So that was all great. But once that was over, we shouldn't have seen no more of this kid for a good long time. But every time that he's going to do something good, they're going to put him up, and they're going to put him out there on the NBA floor, and he's going to get torched. What does that do for his confidence? I don't know. But all the talk about the DEIs and all the stuff, going on in the political landscape, nepotism, you can't really do anything about it, but all that's up for questioning too. But it's just interesting to me with the injury history of Davis is just somebody that I don't think I would trust to bring in on a trade. Who knows? He may never get hurt again, but I just don't think that's a risk worth taking. So a lot of people are torching the Mavs GM, I think his name is Harrison, for making this trade because they listen to the same things that I'm talking about. Is this guy Davis going to be reliable? Now, you take Davis, he now pairs with Klay Thompson, who's 34, and you have Kyrie Irving, who's 32. So you got two guards and you got a big man. So I don't know about where they are with the forward position, but they're looking at it that they want to win right now. Well, I'm not sure if Kyrie and Klay can take them to that championship. But they have a good, strong veteran group there, and they could cause some problems in the playoffs. But I think that the way Oklahoma City is playing right now, it's going to be hard to get them out. And I think in the long run, what's going to end up happening is, being that Doncic is able to be a free agent in 2026, he might not be in LA very long. So the question again, what are they going to do with LeBron? What's he going to do, try to play till he's 50? I just don't see that happening. And I just don't think it's a good situation for the Mavericks, because I just don't think it's sustainable. And I think the Lakers, they have been reduced. And if you're really into this, I know a lot of people are heartbroken over it, but me, I could care less. I just had to waste a few minutes to talk about that because this is football season. And as long as you have football season, and I don't care if you traded the whole NBA, it'll never be able to top football, especially during championship time like we have right now, the Super Bowl. Now, last I checked, the Chiefs were still installed as a point-and-a-half favorite. But, these people, they send out these simulation things and say that the script for the game has been leaked. Well, the script that I saw or heard of was that the Chiefs was supposed to fall down early in the game. Travis Kelce was going to get hurt and injured. He was going to come back late in the game and lead his team to a big comeback and go off into the sunset with Taylor Swift. I hate the fact that they keep bringing Taylor Swift into this. understand that the league is taking every advantage to make all the money that they can, but she has absolutely nothing to do with the game. So I really wish that her and Travis and the rest of them would just go away, because she's got nothing to do with football. Going back on tour somewhere and make some more money and deal with your teenage fan base, but we're not into that when it comes to football. But like I said, the Chiefs are a point-and-a-half favorite, and a lot of people think that it's going to come down to the wire again. And the biggest thing that I'm noticing about all the Super Bowl chatter, it reminds me when you go back 17 years to Super Bowl 42 when the Patriots were undefeated. Everybody wants to see history. They want to see the first modern team to go undefeated since the Miami Dolphins did it back in '72. Well, that didn't happen because everybody forgot about the way that the Giants were playing. The Giants were playing some football, and they had essentially 4 weeks to get ready for them. They spent the week in training camp with the Patriots. Then they played them for the regular season. Then they got 2 weeks to get ready for them between the championship and the Super Bowl. So they had 4 weeks to prepare to play against New England. And I think they needed all 4 of those weeks to stay on the field with them, because New England indeed was the best team that year. But unfortunately for New England, you only get one shot in football. And I don't care what you did up to that championship point. If you don't prove it that day, then you can't be a champion. And that's what happened to them. I think everybody got lost in the shuffle thinking about history. Not so much the Patriots player, but you have to know that they know what's going on. And everybody's talking about it and how they felt about it, and it's a distraction from the game. The same kind of thing is happening right now with Kansas City, and there's three-peat. Nobody's seen a three-peat. There's been teams in NFL history who have won 3 straight championships. I think Green Bay was the last team to do it. They won it the year before the Super Bowl began. Then they won the first 2 Super Bowls, so that's 3. And I think the Bears might have done it. I think the Packers might have did it again in the 20s. I got to research that, but I know it was another team that did that in the 20s. And it's not something that is not real, that can't be accomplished. And even though the Cleveland Browns, they came from the AAFL, they had won the championship there, and in the first year they came into the NFL, they won it again. So Cleveland, you can count them as a three-peat winner. So it's not unusual. But most of the time, when you have teams going up for 3 straight championships, they don't fare too well. So you go back to what I was saying about Cleveland when they came to the NFL in 1950. You know, they had to depose the Philadelphia Eagles, who were trying to get 3 straight championships. So here we are again. The Eagles get a chance to rectify that of sorts by taking Kansas City out of the picture. But I expect a good game, and we'll talk more about strategy as that moves along. But a lot of people still think that the Chiefs, they tend to get favor with calls from the officials. And you kind of got an idea of that when, if you recall, not to say that this play particularly turned the game, but Travis Kelce went up into Damar Hamlin's face and yelling and screaming at him, and one of the Bills guy came and pushed him. I think his name was Phillips. They penalized Phillips. They didn't penalize Kelce, but during the round of fines, the NFL turned around and fined Kelce over $11,000 for instigating that particular scuffle. But he didn't get penalized in the game. And again, all the key calls tend to go Kansas City's way. So the Eagles, they're going to have to play flawless football. They're going to have to outplay Kansas City, and they're going to have to keep themselves out of positions where the NFL officiating crew can reverse their fortune. Now, I don't think they took the game from Buffalo, but I think what they did take was their momentum. They were up by 1 midway through the 4th quarter, and they had momentum. They were chewing up the clock, and they were chewing up the Chiefs. Had they got that first down, they were going to punch that ball in and score, and then that would have changed the whole course of the game. But you had confusion on the spot. You had the guy that had the clearest picture of the play. He ruled first down. The guy behind the play who didn't see the ball, he said no. Had a conference, and of course New York is in on the conference, and it went the Chiefs' way. So these are the things that make people think that something is just not right when it comes to these NFL calls, man. But a lot of things been going on besides the 2 championship teams. You have the Bears, they've been in the news lately, much to the delight of Jaguar fans. Ben Johnson, they hired Press Taylor to be the pass game coordinator for the Bears. And, you know, he didn't do so well in Jacksonville. To the fans, they wanted him out of here. And when they finally got rid of him, they rejoiced. So, you know, they find it kind of interesting that the guy that they really wanted, Johnson, they having second thoughts about him because he trying to run and hire a guy like Press Taylor. So if that was the case, he might have retained Press Taylor to the real delight of Jaguar fans had he taken that job. So that's just something to think about. But the Bears also in the news, they brought in Eric Bieniemy. You know, he got fired from Washington last year, and he spent this year with UCLA, and they got fired from them. So now he's in the running back coach position for the Bears. For I don't know what the reason is, but they just don't seem to want to give him an opportunity to be a head coach in the NFL. So he's going to have to start over where he started before and work his way up. And with his resume, if he keeps on chipping away at it, I think someday he'll get a shot to be a head coach. Why not? Look at what the Cowboys did. They just hired Brian Schottenheimer, and he just came out of nowhere. You know, they had people kind of confused about the hiring of Schottenheimer because he just come out of the blue. Nobody talked about him. He talked about Kellen Moore. And he threw out names like Deion Sanders, but all of a sudden he gets the job. This is another insider for the Cowboys, and it's got everybody scratching their heads out that way because Jones, he continually makes the same kind of judgments over and over again that doesn't seem to be moving his team forward when it comes to trying to win a championship. But I heard it echoed the other day, which I always mention on this program here. Jerry Jones, I don't think really cares about winning a championship. I think because he's a businessman, the bottom line is the bottom line. And if he's making $300+ million a year, probably more than that. Do you really give a damn if you win a championship or not? It's the same thing with the players in college now and the pros. All the criticism that they receive, the first thing they're going to do, they're going to go to their bank account to make sure everything's all right. They're going to look around and see if their family's okay. Then they're going to close their account and they're going to go on about their business and doing whatever they've been doing. Because what they're doing is what the ultimate goal is to take care of your family. They're doing that. Jones' objective as a Cowboys owner is to make some money. He's doing that, and he's doing it his way. But you don't want to get rid of that shine to bring in somebody that's going to take that away from him because he wants to do things his way. Yeah, he wanted to win a championship, but he wants to do it his way. That's why he got rid of Jimmy Johnson. Now, my thing is, if I'm a head coach or a head coach prospect, I wouldn't go nowhere near Dallas. Why would I go there when I don't have the pedigree of what Jimmy Johnson did, and with him hovering over you all the time, I don't think that I ever get to that point because he's going to ruin it for me in some kind of way. So if the Cowboys want to win, they're going to have to get Jerry Jones out of the way. He may live to be 125, and as long as he's that old running the team, they're going to keep making the same kind of decisions over and over again. And I think what's going to happen with them is the same thing that had to happen with Pittsburgh. I know you Steeler fans out there, you might not realize that Pittsburgh was a losing franchise their first 35, 36 years in the league. It wasn't until Rooney's son, Dan, took over the team and started making different decisions from his dad that Pittsburgh started to make some moves. Ever since then, they've been stable. But before that, Art Rooney, oh man, he wasn't a very good administrator. Somebody putting together a football team. That's why they didn't do so good in Pittsburgh. So that is something for you to research if you got time to do so. But I'm just telling you right now, his track record wasn't that great. And if you look at Jerry Jones, his track record hasn't been that great either once you take Jimmy Johnson out of the picture. And the facts are there to see. Again, as long as he's in the picture, they're not going to do very well, other than in the bottom line. And the bottom line is to make a whole lot of money, and that's what the Cowboys are doing. But going back to the Bears, like I said, they hired Eric Bieniemy. We know Ben Johnson is a new coach coming out of Detroit. And they got Press Taylor as their pass game coordinator. But the other move they made a couple of days ago was also very puzzling. or interesting to a lot of people. As you know, there's a rush to crush DEI in America. They're blaming DEI on everything. Even the plane crash in Washington the other day, when I told you as soon as it happened what the problem was, that was an air traffic control problem. And when you look at what's been going on in the air traffic control problem since the administration changed, there's a direct correlation there. Mr. Musk, he got a problem with the FAA guy, got him to resign, and I don't know if they replaced him or what, but it's my understanding that the FAA has been in a bit of chaos ever since then. And lo and behold, with this tremendous safety track record we've had over the last few years, now all of a sudden we started having accidents. I wonder if there's any kind of coincidence to that. But if you think about it, there's personal gains and goals for people to achieve by getting others out of the way, and you only have to wonder that this could possibly be a situation. But if it is at great detriment to the lives of people who choose to fly. Now, when you fly, the pilots aren't really in control of, they control individual aircraft, but they don't dictate what to do once they get in the air. I mean, you have to talk to air traffic control and they direct them to wherever they need to be, what altitude, speeds, and all that. That's all controlled by ATC. So if you got an incompetent air traffic controller or program, or the system is incorrect, then you got a problem, because you're going to be flying into the unknown. But I told you before, I dabble in that a little bit, and anytime that a helicopter is about to cross the airfield and you got a plane or a jet that's coming in, you got to redirect that helicopter. Otherwise, that jet's going to come up on that helicopter real quick. Now, it's my understanding that that was a training helicopter. And I don't know any more details beyond that, but still, I knew right away that was an ATC problem. If that helicopter was to be cleared, it should have been higher than the altitude of the descending aircraft. And there's no reason in any kind of scenario that you come up with that you should have had a crash between a helicopter and a landing jet that close to the runway. Something's wrong, communication was crossed, and that's something they got to hurry up and get fixed. Otherwise, you're going to see more airline disasters take place. But I say that to say this, that the Bears, they have also fired running back assistant Jennifer King. If you saw the program early in the year when they were doing with the Bears, I think it was on HBO, kind of like a Hard Knocks. I don't know if it was titled that or not, but yeah, it was Hard Knocks. And they had, you can see her on there working out with the running backs and doing her job. But I wonder, with what's going on with the DEI and all this kind of stuff, if that has something to do with that. It's just pure speculation on my part, but it's the first thought that jumped into my head. Did DEI have something to do with Ms. King losing her position? Hope not. Hope it's just a regular old change of coaching staff like they always do. But from what I understand, intern hire, went through the program and did well and got a job and worked for a couple of years. So once you get the experience, then you got the experience and you should be able to continue on from that point on your own merits. So hopefully the DEI is not is not the reason why she's no longer with the Bears, other than just Ben Johnson had his own ideas. But that remains to be seen. So I hope she lands on somewhere else, and I'll keep an eye on and see how that goes. But again, just to recap, Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis got traded for each other in a 3-team trade, and I'm looking at this sideways because Anthony Davis, the guy is injury prone, and if you're going to make a run at a championship, you got to have some healthy players, and he may go down anytime. But it looks like to me they're depending heavily on this guy to take him there, and I'm not sure he can get him there. And a lot of people are feeling the same way. But I know one thing. I know that the GM hopes that he can take them on a long run, because if he gets hurt before the playoffs start and he can't fulfill any kind of help to this team, then expect to see the Dallas GM on the waiver wire by June, because he's put himself in an all or nothing position, and he better hope Davis come through. And if I'm going to do that, and I'm going to I need a runaway car to drive away, I'm going to make sure it's something that I can depend on, not some broken down jalopy. And I think Davis is somewhere in the middle of that. He can go down at any time, but we'll see how that plays out. Now, earlier in the week, I talked about the Super Bowl. Going back to that, you have the Chiefs again not hosting, but going for a three-peat in New Orleans against Philadelphia. And the Chiefs, last I heard, was a point-and-a-half favorite. But the thing about New Orleans that makes it so interesting is the price of everything that's taking place. Right now, I told you the other day that the average ticket price was $9,700. The lowest ticket price was $5,300, and the most expensive ticket to go to the Super Bowl was $54,000. Well, since then, there's been a few changes. The Chiefs issued their official all-inclusive package, which includes, I assume it includes airfare and room and board and a ticket to the game, $18,500 per person. $18,500 per person to go to the game. That's why I asked the question, how much would you guys pay to go to the Super Bowl? I've said before, $500 is a good round figure for me. And I think, I don't know what I just did. I don't know what that is. $500 is a good round figure for me. But the question is, when you get to the Super Bowl, where would you stay? Well, if I'm going to pay $500 for the game, being that it's a heightened event, I might pay $400 to $500 a night for a hotel room, being that you can't get a room nowhere else. But I just looked up earlier what the hotel prices were going in New Orleans, and it's even more shocking than the ticket prices. Normally, you can get a room for a couple $100 a night in New Orleans, but the price has gone up about 8 times. Right now, the average ticket price for a hotel room in New Orleans is $4,500 to $5,000 a night. $4,500 to $5,000 a night because the big event is in town. I'd like to know, what are the laws on price gouging? I thought that, you couldn't raise prices to exorbitant amounts to take advantage of a crisis or a certain event. Well, you're looking at 8 times more for $500, $600 rooms a night. And that's the exclusive places. I think it's robbery. And it seems like to me, the hidden robbery that you're not seeing is, let's just say, since the demand is so high, why not just say you have to stay here a 3-night minimum? Well, if you have to stay a 3-night minimum at $4,500 a night, you're looking at $13,500. Who has that kind of money is what I want to know. Young Gold, how you doing, man? I thought I was talking to myself today. You and somebody else was on. I appreciate it. I can't tell who's all in the room. I'm just talking. And I don't know how many people stopped by to holler at me today. Kind of slow. Sundays are always kind of slow, but sometimes they can be great. Talking about the prices of attending the Super Bowl. Like I said, Kansas City just released a per person all-inclusive package, which is $18,500 per person. You're not going by yourself, and your woman not gonna let you go by yourself. So you're gonna have to spend another $18,500 for her. So now you're up to $37,000, and now you go get a room, and the room is now telling you got to pay $45,000 to $5,000 a night. You can't just go there one night. You got to spend 2 or 3 nights. So you got $37,000 for the tickets. You spend 3 nights at, you're gonna spend that much. You might as well get the best you can get, right? $5,000 each, so that's another $15,000. So now you're up to $53,000. The only thing that can cut that down is if you actually live in the area, you can drive there. But I don't think too many native New Orleans relatives, natives, they're going to go to that game. They're going to watch it on TV just like I would do. All right, Goat says the fact that Anthony Davis had no trade clause in his contract is wild to me. When you say he did have a trade clause, but he waived that, to call it a nicker or a knocker or something. He doesn't have that in Dallas anymore, so they can get rid of him. And I don't know how long that's going to last with his health. I think the Lakers, if they keep Doncic, they got their center for the future, and kind of make LeBron James expendable. Their defense didn't get any better with this trade, so you have to wonder what these people are thinking. But if I'm Doncic, I wouldn't be very happy, because if you don't know it, he's up for this supermax contract that he would have got in July had he stayed with Dallas, and he would have been paid $345 million contract. $345 million, that's the max contract for him. And now that he's traded teams, he's no longer eligible for that. So I don't know if he's gambling on the new TV deal that's going to occur in a couple of years. He'll get paid that way, but he's got to avoid injury. There's a lot of running up and down the court that's going to take place between now and then. So he's in position where he could possibly lose a lot of money behind this. But the question is, again, about LeBron James. What are they going to do with him? Doncic? Is he planning to play much longer now that he's reached history with his son? What's going to happen with LeBron James? Is he very happy right now? I don't know. As the days go by, we'll hear more out of the NBA camp. But right now, if I'm Doncic, I'm thinking that I wanted some of that $345 million that was coming my way. But the bright side is, another year and a half, he become free agent, and he'll have a chance to get probably a bigger contract, depending on how he plays this year or next. Goat says, I think it's either this year or next year. He's calling it. Well, I think he's going to try to stick around 1 year more to try to get his son established. As you know, he dropped him down to the G League, and he finally had a decent game down there. As soon as they did, they pulled him up. And when they pulled him up, he got torched. And all the analysts, they've been criticizing James and the whole situation by the son, and LeBron don't like it, man. And I don't know if he's correct or not, but I know one thing, looking at it from the kid perspective, he's got an awful lot of pressure on him to try to live up to his dad's name and show people that all the fuss is worth it. I think if he stayed in college and developed himself, he would have been in a better position to make a splash in the NBA. Going back to the situation with his heart, I think all the pressure on him had to do with that heart attack he had. You can't tell me otherwise. He said in an interview he doesn't want to play until the wheels fall off. Well, that's what's going to happen. I don't know if you follow football much, young goat, but Sean Alexander was a pretty good back for Seattle. Woke up one morning and all of a sudden he couldn't do it no more. And that was the end of Sean Alexander. I fear the same kind of thing for Derrick Henry because he's had so many carries in his career. And a guy like LeBron has been running up and down the court. That could easily happen to him too. I mean, I know how great the talent is, but at some point there's an end to all of that. And I would want to get off before the wheels fall off, like he's saying. But if he's going to keep on extending because he feels good, he's going to get caught like that. And I don't see it happening any other way. But anyway, I think that I would rather have Doncic than Davis because he's younger, and I think the upside is there. And he has taken a team to a championship attempt to the finals without somebody like a LeBron James. LeBron James helped Davis get there, but Davis, he hadn't done anything like that in New Orleans. So again, looks like to me that Doncic has the bigger upside as opposed to Davis. But Harrison, the GM of Dallas, he didn't seem to think so. And a lot of fans are unhappy that they got rid of that great player for somebody who's questionable a lot of times. The Mavericks have no future. In 8 to 10 years, Kyrie, Clay, and AD are going to be out the NBA. Well, that could be true, but here's the thing. They want to win right now. That's what they're saying in Dallas. They put that team together to have these veterans take them to the finals this year. But like you said, I'm inclined to believe that I don't see nobody in the West beating Oklahoma City. That doesn't mean they're guaranteed to get there. No, they're not guaranteed. They're going to have to play. And I've seen can't-miss teams miss before. But sometimes you have to wonder how many times that's going to happen to good teams. And I think it's OKC's time to get through to the finals to take on them Celtics, man. Or if not the Celtics, maybe Milwaukee can make another run. I don't know. But right now, the Celtics still one of the best teams in the East. And I don't think that Cleveland's going to be able to top them. But my thing is they have a situation like the Clippers where they put a good team together and it flops. Then what happens? Well, you're talking about Dallas. I mean, only thing you can do is take a shot. That's why I said the GM put it all on the line. Because let's just say Davis, he gets hurt and he can't go down for a stretch run in the playoffs, then that makes the GM look bad. They're already questioning it because this guy, not that 31 is real old, but with his injury history, that is old. And if he can't make a playoff run, then the GM rep is pretty much gone. He's going to be on the waiver wire before July. Mark my word. That's just the way I feel. But it was a bold move. But if you want to be great, sometimes you got to make a bold move. So let's see how it plays out. But did you hear what I was saying about the hotel and ticket prices for the Super Bowl? I asked the question, how much would you guys pay for a Super Bowl? I pay $500 a night for a hotel, and I pay $500 for the game. That's probably the most I'm going to pay. All right, let me give it to you. Kansas City released their all-inclusive package for their fans, whoever want to go through them. It's $18,500 per person, man. I told you the other day that the average price was $9,700 for a ticket, $5,300 just to get in for the lowest ticket, nosebleed, and then you have $54,000 was the highest ticket. But with Kansas City now, $18,500, at least you pretty much guarantee if you go through the team that you'll have somewhere to stay, because anybody else, you're taking a chance on getting scammed. But the hotel prices, that's the big thing. Despite the $18,500, which should include hotel for Kansas City fans, if you're not a fan and you're going through it your own way, you're going to pay $4,500 to $5,000 a night in New Orleans for that week. And you're probably going to have 2-3 day minimum. So that's going to push you to about $15,000 to go with your $18,500 per person. So if you're taking you and somebody else, your kid, you're looking at $53,000. But this is why most fans, the real fans are outside the stadium or watching it at home. They don't go anywhere near the stadium because they priced out of that, man. But even if you got inside the game, just imagine, I know down here in Jacksonville, they got a tall can of beer, might be about 20 ounces. They charging $20 for that, man. That you got to want to be a real bad to pay $20 for that, man. So the only stadium I know that has reasonable ticket concession prices, the Falcons own. Blank, he don't believe in fans paying extreme prices for food at the game, and that's the only reason why it's affordable there. But once he moves on and another owner takes place, you can just bet those prices are going to go up in Atlanta too, man. All right, imagine paying that much money and the games will blow out. Well, that's the chance you take. Now, if you're on the positive end of the blowout, it's great. You're loving it. But I think in the end, when you sit down and think about it, it's like making a car purchase. You go out and pay $75,000 for a car, or you buy a pair of jeans is $5,000. And I know people who've done that. After you wear them once or twice, you're going to sit there and you're going to ask yourself, was that really worth it? Of course it wasn't worth it. And it's going to be the same thing with this game. I make the comparison about the Steelers all the time. Crazy about the Steelers. Been following them for over 40 years. But at the same time, when they come to town, I have to think, do I really want to go down there and fool with that? Do I want to go in the stadium and get charged $8 for a Coke? $8 for a hot dog, something along those lines? Do I want to pay parking? When I think about that, and I can look in there and I can see that I can turn my TV on, I can turn my volume up. I don't have to worry about some guy spilling beer on me or yelling and cursing or a fight over here because some guy's got the wrong color jersey on. I don't have to deal with any of that. And when the game's over with, I'm already home. No more end of game commuting for me. I'm already home, man. So I know that kind of sounds a little bit strange for somebody who watches as many football games as me, but I'm getting to the point where I don't want to get out there and all that. Plus, it's safer at home. So I'd rather be right here and watching the game, and I don't have to worry about being intruded upon by others. So that's the way I feel about it. But speaking of that, a lot of people go to football Super Bowl parties and all that. I don't want to do none of that. I want to analyze the game. I want to watch the game in peace, and I want to be in my own thoughts. And I'm coaching and analyzing what would I do and that kind of stuff. You go to these Super Bowl parties, everybody's talking about everything except what the game is. I'm only concerned about the game. I don't care about all the other stuff because it's meaningless to me at that time. But a lot of people don't feel that way. They feel like they have to be with others. Me, I don't need people. I just want to go to the game, watch the game, and analyze it and enjoy it that way. But a lot of people aren't like that. Bruce Lee, how you doing, man? I hang out with my grandpa, eat wings and stuff, but no partying for me. Yeah, man, it cut down a lot of the BS, man. People are crazy nowadays, and especially with all these betting apps going on, people got a lot of money on the line, and you can be in the party, everybody's having a great time, and there'd be one guy who's got a whole lot of money on the line, jumping up and making the whole environment tense because the money he's got on the line. And I don't want to deal with that. So I keep to myself, and I watch the game, and hopefully it's a good one. No blowouts. But I got a feeling that Philadelphia is going to show up because everybody's got Kansas City winning this game to make the historic three-peat. Will it happen someday? Yeah, it will, but I got a feeling that it won't happen this year. Philadelphia's got that look in the eye, and when they played a couple years ago, Philadelphia outplayed Kansas City. They got a couple calls that went against them, the pass interferences, and that turned the whole game for Philadelphia. And actually had, a 2-score lead on them at halftime. So this is not like Philadelphia can't beat this team. They just got to finish this team. And with a guy like Saquon Barkley running that football, they should be able to do that if they get their running game going. But Kansas City, expect them to have the similar kind of game plan they had for Baltimore a couple years ago. They're going to try to keep that run game minimized between the tackles. If they can do that, and they can prevent Jalen Hurts from bouncing outside, then that would slow Philadelphia down. But if Barkley is able to get off between the tackles, then it could be a long day for Kansas City. Bruce says I throw a little money on the game, but nothing crazy, just enough to make it a little more interesting. Yeah, I know what you mean, but when you go to these betting sites, you don't have to bet against anybody. You're betting against the house, and they got all kind of ways to help you make or lose some money. So you can get just as creative as you like, and as long as you got the money, they'll back it. I hope the Chiefs win. Hate the Eagles, but they have the best overall roster in the league. And how healthy is Jalen Hurts' knee? I think Hurts is fine. He seemed fine the other day against Washington. He took the brace off, and I don't think you're going to see a brace in the Super Bowl. Bruce Lee, are you a Chiefs fan? It's a military town down here, so I see a few Chiefs fans every now and then. But like anybody else, or most other places, when you have a team that starts to stick out over the others, then all of a sudden, everybody in town is a Chiefs fan until they start losing again. Just like New England. Now I can't, New England, everybody's got a Patriots shirt on, a bumper sticker. They've been a Pats fan for years. But now you can't see that. Same thing with the Bulls with Michael Jordan. Oh man, I've been a Bulls fan since 75. It's time for him to win. It's time for him to win. everybody joined the bandwagon, man. Everybody wants to be associated with a winner. Oh, that's why you want the Chiefs to win. All right, now, are you not loyal to your conference? Or you just hate the NFC East competitors so much that if your team is not winning, then they must lose? That's the way you feel? Okay, been a Washington fan since I was 8, back in 2008. Yeah, well, you missed out on the good times, man. I've been watching Washington since the 70s, man. To me, I don't know how you feel about it. To me, they always be the Redskins. Eventually, when people like me start to fall off, then everybody will say Commanders, but there's a lot of people out there still feel like Washington is a Redskin team, and that's the way I feel about it, even though I have no dog in the fight there. But yeah, they had some good teams in Washington, and I've seen them beat up on Philadelphia many a times, and I can understand why, after seeing them come up all of a sudden, that you would want them beat. But I also know that you just got to be loving the downfall of the Cowboys, right? Well, they changed it because of image. They didn't want to be associated with discrimination. But the interesting thing about it, the nation that image depicts, they don't see that as a dishonor, because the maroon color is actually from a berry. I did the research on it. It was a berry that they put on their face as either a going into battle or after winning a decisive battle. I can't remember at this time, but I actually looked that up. But Dan Snyder, yeah, you're right. He didn't want to change the name, but he got pressure from his sponsors. And in the league, with all the things he was involved in, he didn't really have a choice. They were going to muscle him however they can do it, and they're going to try to get him out of the league, and they did that. All right, they are divisional rivals, and their fan base are bad. And yeah, Mr. Redskin, but I call him that sometimes. Yeah, a lot of people do, but I just think that the sponsors, they're full of crap, because they'll turn on you when things go wrong, but behind everybody's back, they'll still do business with you. Take Kobe Bryant. When he got into that trouble with that girl, everybody dropped him. But a year or two later, he was back with the same people. So again, it's all images. Everybody's going to react just like everybody else is reacting to show them that they're these great people. But in the end, if this guy is a well-known commodity in sports, he's not going to lose favor for too long. And I think that's why you hear people now talking about the possibility of bringing the Redskin name back. But the new owner said that he's probably not going to go back to that. It's a dead issue with him, at least. But I think that even when you show highlights of the teams, it's the Redskins. So if you're going to ban all Redskins attraction or connection to this team, then you got to erase pretty much the whole history of the Redskins. And I don't think you can do that. Because I've seen fans down at the Jaguar games when the Redskins weren't even playing, people still walking around with Redskin gear. It's all over the place. So there's no way that you can possibly get rid of Redskins just by simply changing the name. It's going to take a long time before people start to think of Washington as the Redskins. So, only other thing that I can relate to something like that, I remember when Baltimore, the Colts, left for Indianapolis. For several years after that, you hear announcers making mistakes, calling them the Baltimore Colts, even though they had went to Indianapolis. So it happened. It'll take time before things change. And at this point now, the Colts have been in Indianapolis longer than they were in Baltimore. And if you didn't know, Baltimore actually, they got that team from Hershey, Pennsylvania, by way of Dallas. They were the Dallas Texans. Then they moved to Pennsylvania for a short period of time, and they changed the name and moved to Baltimore, but they kept the same colors, that royal blue. All right. Yeah, but Philly had a strong chance of winning the first time they played the Super Bowl, but a fumble touchdown brought the Chiefs back into it. Yeah, but they still outplayed Kansas City, and that game came down to those pass interference calls. You have to put an asterisk by some of these games the Chiefs win, because it seemed to me they've gotten an awful lot of favor from the officials over the years. Not saying they're not a good team. They ain't great, but they are a championship team, and you're going to have to beat them. And you can't be making those kind of mistakes or put yourself in a position where the referee can make that kind of call. And I'm hoping that it don't come down to that. So it's just like anything else. It's like a bully on the block. You can't just beat him or have a even fight with him. You're going to have to beat him up and leave no doubt as to you're not the kingpin anymore. You can't be around here beating up on people, man, because that's not the way it goes. And I think Philadelphia is going to have to come out and take it to Kansas City and keep on taking it to them. And if they get a big lead, keep on pressing down the pedal to leave no doubt. And I think that's the way you're going to have to dethrone Kansas City. That's just the way I see it. But, yeah, man, we can talk this way back football. I got the history down pretty much. But, yeah, that red color that the Redskins make is from berries. Some kind of paint mixture that they put on their face to prepare themselves for battle. So it wasn't that tribe that was against that name. What they're actually doing is keeping them alive, that warrior spirit alive. So don't always believe what you hear, man. All you got to do is a little bit of research and you can find out all the information you need to know. And yeah, that was a cool logo. But like I said, that's just face paint from to signify going into war. Achievements. So, that's enough of that. But just to recap, we got another week to go before Super Bowl kicks off. Got a lot to talk about between now and then. Starting tomorrow, I'll go into what I think is going to happen, break it down, the X's and O's, because that's what it's going to come down to. Regardless of how flashy your quarterback is and your running backs, and it still comes down to, can you get it blocked up front? And if you can't get it blocked up front, then you're going to have a problem. And I think Philadelphia matches up with Kansas City. And like I said, if they're able to run that football and Saquon is breaking off big runs, it could be a very big problem for Kansas City. It's still going to come down to which team can separate. If Kansas City is able to go up by a couple scores or vice versa, then that's going to change the whole complexion of the game. And then we'll really see how it's going to take place, because that guy Carter, just like he did at Georgia, he's causing damage up front for the Eagles on defense. And I think that's a matchup that the Chiefs have to be concerned with. And that fourth down, that third down corner blitz, you got to pull more tricks out of the bag like you did that time to get by Buffalo. And Philadelphia, I think they got that look in the eye, and they're going to be ready for Kansas City. All right. Every Super Bowl, well, they didn't have a big lead. I'd say all the Super Bowls were contested. San Francisco should have won at least one of those games, and Tampa did beat them. But what's the bigger story there? Mahomes or Brady? That's the question. But every time Brady ran up against Mahomes, it seemed to beat Mahomes. So it's not like they can't be beat. You just gotta stand in there and beat them, man. And I'd be interested to see how this one unfolds. I just hope that the referees aren't put in a position where they have to make a call that turns the tide for either team. Let them be invisible out there and just make the call as is meant to be made, and then we'll move on. So again, we got a whole week to get ready for that. But again, the big thing today I wanted to talk about was the trade. I don't talk about basketball too much. I don't think it was a good trade for Dallas because youth. You always want to err on the side of youth. Now, if they had a team where you're getting a whole bunch of veterans that plays well together, and you got 7 or 8 of them, then you go make a one-year run for a championship, then I can go for that. But you got to find a way to match up with Oklahoma City. And I don't think Dallas or LA did that. So it's just a matter of how long it's going to be before the GMs get canned in LA and Dallas. But I'll be watching to see what happens, man. But yeah, save your money up for next year if you want to go to the Super Bowl. You're going to need at least $65,000 to make sure you can get into a game, man. The Lakers still need a big man. They don't have much defense at all. Well, that's the problem. They don't have defense. But with Doncic, he helps down low. But I'm also hearing reports that the medical reports they didn't do their due diligence with clearing these players medically for these trades. So that could turn around to be a factor sometime during the week. But right now, if you're going to take Davis, they're looking for him to be a playmaker. And then with Kyrie and Clay, you got penetration from Kyrie and you hit the three with Clay. If you can get that going, then they can be the playmakers. But I don't have much confidence in that over a sustained period of time. But who knows? Anybody can make a long playoff run. All you need is, 15 games to win a championship? I think the first round is still best of 5. 15 games, you can win it all. Clay's a player where you need to create shots for him. That's what I'm saying. Kyrie penetrate and kick it out to Clay. He's not a good shot creator. He's a post-up guy. But if you can pound it down to the big fella, and this doesn't change in basketball. If you got a big fella, he's going to draw a crowd. Then the big fella can kick it out to Clay. If that doesn't work, you can penetrate, dish to the big fella. That's going to create a crowd. Either way, Clay is good at moving around to get himself in a position where he can make a shot. I've seen him do it, but he's been injured, and Davis has been injured. So I know Bruce Leen is in there, Commanders fan. They get a kick out of that. This might be the NBA's version of the Over the Hill gang. I don't know if you're familiar with that one, Leen, since you a young fellow there. That's when they had Billy Kilmer, and they got to their first Super Bowl back in Super Bowl 7. They just happened to be the victims of the Dolphins in Super Bowl 7, and that's the last time that a team went undefeated throughout the whole season. And Washington was a tough team. They just couldn't generate enough offense to beat Miami. And that Over the Hill gang just too old, man. Got to get lean, man. My favorite NBA team, well, I have to say it's probably still Detroit, but they ain't not very good so far to me. I go back to Isaiah Thomas. Even before that, had a guy named Kelly Tripucka. Used to play for Notre Dame. I never liked Notre Dame, but I thought Tripucka was a good player. And he was playing for Detroit, and they beat the Celtics one night on TV. And I never liked the Celtics. I like the Lakers over the Celtics, but I like the Sixers over all of them. But Detroit been my team since about '82. Since that night I saw Tripucka knock off the Celtics. I never liked them. But yep, how was it like watching the Bad Boys Pistons? Well, they played football. I mean, you guys that like football, that would have been a good era to watch. Basketball now is completely different from what it was. If you had a great player, you're going to beat him up when he came into that paint. And I think it was just a little bit too physical. Adding the three-point game opened things up a little bit, and it's a lot safer for the players. But as far as playing good hard-nosed defense, these guys nowadays, they couldn't have played. Not a whole lot of them could have played in that era. They're just too soft. And guys like Bill Laimbeer, they would have beat on guys trying to go into the paint. They tried to do that to Jordan, but they finally figured out what Detroit was doing, and they knew their offensive plays, and it's just a matter of them outlasting Detroit. But that was a good team. And you had several good teams back then. You had the Lakers and the Pistons, and of course the Celtics, and in the early part of the 80s you had Philadelphia. So the East was always something to contend with, and the conference NBA finals are always great. But nowadays, it's kind of hard to watch the NBA, man. Shooting a bunch of threes and scoring 120, 130 points a game. I'm not excited about that. I don't know about you guys, but that doesn't excite me. So, as you can see, that I'm more used to defense, playing basketball. I move the ball around, create a shot, get a three-point play the old-fashioned way. That's what I like to see. But that's just me. But anyway, I'm just rambling a little bit today. I just wanted to get caught up about some of the things we talked about. Again, those ticket prices for the Super Bowl are ridiculous. You're going to need about $65,000 if you want to go next year. And, yeah, that's nice. I'm a Hornets fan. Our defense is trash, too. And can never stay healthy. Well, basketball, putting a lot of stress on your joints. So it's a wonder a lot of guys are able to play without getting any major injuries. I did high school basketball this year. I did both the JV and the varsity levels, and I noticed a lot of players hit the floor a lot nowadays. And I don't see how you can keep on hitting the floor, especially coming in the air like that without really hurting yourself. But I never saw anybody really get hurt. But that's not something I want to do, hit that hard floor, man. LaMelo always hurt. Trey Man hurt Brandon Miller out for the season. Hey, man, that's the nature of the game, man. But you know what? They don't care. They're getting paid. Look at, what's the guy played for Duke? Always out of shape. I can't think of his name right now. But he got suspended not long ago from Duke. But he's not, I don't know, Zion, that's his name. Like Russell Westbrook, always hitting the floor. Yeah, but if you know how to do it, you can get away with it. But I don't want to be hitting the floor like that. I mean, I don't even want to hit the hard ground in football. I never had a chance to play on AstroTurf. The old AstroTurf was real hard. But now everybody is putting in these artificial turfs like what you see in colleges. Down here in Jacksonville they are. They got a referendum to do that. And it's good because those fields are real horrible. But I tell you this, to see those nice, pretty, shiny fields and look around and the stadium is all rickety, I mean, what are you going to do with that? It just doesn't look good. The field is great, but you look up in the stands, it looks like you had a city park somewhere, a lot of these stadiums, man. But that's just me. I noticed everything. But listen, I'm going to be on in the morning, about 6:30. Usually be on 6:30 every morning, so we'll come on and talk a little bit more about a little bit of football. Brian Fogel will say, what's your take on the Saints hiring Eagles offensive coordinator? That's Kellen Moore. He got the job now. I think anybody that has a chance to run their old program who has experience like a Kellen Moore, he could be successful. But I think he has a better shot in New Orleans than he would have had in Dallas because you got Jerry Jones hovering over you. And Schottenheimer, he's already got the fan base against him, and he's already from the inside. So I don't know how long he's going to be able to keep some kind of discipline there when the guys already know him. That's a recipe for disaster. And if you've been listening to Michael Irvin rant about that, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, Kellen Moore would be a good hire for the Saints because I think he's young enough and he's got the mind to create some new stuff to make the Saints entertaining. But you got to get a quarterback down there in New Orleans. I think Derek Carr. Is Derek Carr still there? I lose track of where he is. But they're going to have to get their quarterback situation straightened out in New Orleans. If they can do that, just like any other team, it don't take long to turn it around with free agency and the draft. You get a surprise draft choice, you can go all the way. Look at what Washington did with Daniels. You get a quarterback and you bring him in using the same system that he used in college, he can be successful. Now, speaking of college and quarterbacks, everybody's talking about Deion Sanders and Cam Ward being in that first round, but in the Senior Bowl, Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart moved himself up to a possible first-round pick because he did well, better than what people thought that he was going to do. Now, he's a pure passer, but he's criticized for being in a system like Lane Kiffin's, who made it easier for a quarterback. When you say that, the friendly reads that he drew up for the quarterbacks, if he can be successful, throw for 4,000 yards, how is that a detriment to the guy? Why not do the same thing in the pros? Draw up a quarterback-friendly system that can carve up defenses. The only difference really is, if you're in a pro-style offense, can you make the right read and throw it to the right guy? That can be done. You see what Daniels did with the Commanders? If you get a quarterback that can run your system, then you can be effective. All right. What's your take on the Saints? Okay, I read that. Do you still believe in Mickey Loomis, GM for the Saints? Well, I think Mickey Loomis, he's probably been there. He needs to get a change. He probably needs to step down. You don't want to have the same GM for long periods of time because he might just be like Jerry Jones, outdated. So why not remove him and go try somebody else? 20 years, that's a long time for one spot for a GM. Now, I can see if he had a couple championships, or if you like the Kansas City Chiefs GM, where you got this high level of success running through right now, then yeah, you want to stick with that as long as it's working. But the Saints hadn't done much in the last couple of years. So it might just be best to move on from Loomis. So, DX, what else you got for me today before I sign off? How long do you think the Chiefs' reign is going to last is the one I want to know. Say, can Anthony Davis, okay, let me see what the poll says. I say, can Anthony Davis stay healthy? 60% of you say no. And I agree. I don't think the guy can stay healthy, man. Got to prove it to me. But the playoffs should be interesting. I still think Oklahoma City is going to run through the West. Minnesota, they were the hot child last year, but Edwards, I think they kind of adjusted to him a little bit. He's not doing the same thing he did last year, and I think that it's going to be interesting. All right, the talent he let walk out the building is criminal. Well, did they let Kamara get out the building too? I don't think he's happy there, and I think he wants to get out of the building. So if you let him go, then yeah, that would be also criminal. But again, once you get in with the owners and you pretty much can do what you want to do at that point. It almost happened down here with Trent Baalke. If his reputation wasn't so bad, the Jaguars got rid of him. They got rid of Peterson, but they kept Baalke, and that hurt them in the search. Ben Johnson pretty much said, well, he wanted to have a GM that he can work with, not somebody that's already been there, and that pretty much cost the Jaguars the opportunity to get him. But I think that Johnson already had his deal made up where he was going. He was going to Chicago the whole time. So he'd been working behind the scenes. So which leads me to believe this Rooney Rule and all the other procedures they have for hiring coaches, that doesn't mean anything. And now with the DEI thing taking place, that Rooney Rule is going to be gone. All right. But all kind of stuff taking place, man. But anyway, I need to get on out of here, man. I appreciate you guys sticking with me. I gave AK 2 years, $30 million extension during the season, so he's a Saint for life. I'd be a Saint for life too if you give me that kind of money. $30 million for a running back over 2 years. You sure about that? I got to research that one, Brian. That's a lot of money for Kamara. I think he's worth it. But then again, I saw what James Cook, his brother Dalvin, made a plea to the Bills to re-sign him. His brother at $20 million a year. So if James Cook can get $20 million, I know that Kamara can get it. So I don't think James is going to get that kind of money. But now that you say that, and $15 million, that's about right for Alvin Kamara. I can agree with that. But Cook, I'm not so sure about. All right, what else? Let me make sure I covered everything. Did the hotel, every enemy. Dr. Blue Snowball, where you been, man? With a name like that, you got to sign on every day, man. You just have to catch me at the end. I got to get up out of here, man. There's one other topic I wanted to cover that I didn't quite say. I started to, but I got redirected. It's about the Cowboys. You know that Jerry talked to Dion, but he said that he talked to a lot of coaches, but he was never talking to Dion with the idea of him being the Cowboys coach because Dion already had a job. So now people are coming to get the idea that maybe this is something that Dion had in mind to help him renegotiate his deal up in Colorado. Now, if he's going to stay in Colorado, then that proves me wrong because I said that I didn't think Dion was going to stay in college behind after his sons left to go to another level. But evidently, it looks like he's going to stay in Colorado, and it's not a bad idea because he's got a good foundation he's built, and he can stay there as long as he keeps doing the things he's doing, and he's got a good feel for how to work that transfer portal and redirect his team. So if that's the case, then Dion can do what he wants to do for a good long while. But for him to go to Dallas, I thought would have been an awful idea because we'd had Jerry hovering over his shoulder where he does not have the college president doing that at Colorado, and he can do what he wants to do his own thing. He never would have got that from Jerry, and that's been confirmed because I saw last week where his son, Steven, wanted the idea of Dion to come there because of the possibilities that it could bring. But that wouldn't have been good for Jerry because Dion's personality would outshine him, and he wouldn't let nobody outshine him on his own team. So now you see that it works in Dion's favor because now he can negotiate the deal to let Colorado know that, hey, I can go to the NFL if I really wanted to. They probably knew that anyway, but now you see it unfolding. All right. But the other thing about that, the guy they did hire was Brian Schottenheimer, and the Cowboy legends like Michael Irvin, they're scratching their head over this, and they pretty much compared it to Sears and Roebuck. Sears and Roebuck, they had a chance to be Amazon before Amazon, is what Irvin said. And he's right, because all they had to do was take the catalog and turn it to digital, and they still be in business today. But they didn't want to do that. They wanted to stick with the old way of doing things, and now they're completely out of business. And same thing with Blockbuster and Amazon, not Blockbuster and Netflix. They were Netflix before. They didn't adjust, and they got burned. So I understand exactly what he's saying, man. But Schottenheimer could be a pretty good coach. But the one downside he has, he was already in the locker room. So he can't come in being a completely different coach than he was last year. Otherwise, it could be a problem in the locker room. Snowball says, how you been? I'm doing all right, man. I got nothing to gripe about. Just waiting for this Super Bowl game to pop up next week and give me plenty to talk about. But I had to force myself to talk a little bit of basketball because this trade's got everybody talking in the NBA. Literally anything. How you doing, man? It's the first time I've seen you pop up. You're saying we lost our future with trading Luka, one of the best offensive players ever at 25 already. I agree that he's a great offensive weapon. And I also said that I would have kept him because he's 25. Davis, on the other hand, he's on the MAD squad. He's been hurt many times, and I can't trust that he won't get hurt this year. He's having a good year when he's playing, but when he's not, how do you know when he's coming back? I already know this AD doesn't play well consistently versus elite competition. Well, that goes to the point I made earlier. Davis has a championship, but he was with LeBron when he got that championship. Doncic took his team to the finals, but he didn't have LeBron James to help him get there. So in other words, he's the kind of player you can build around to get you to a championship. I wouldn't have traded him. I would at least looked around to other teams to see if I can get more value than what he got. I don't think they got a whole lot in the deal. Matter of fact, let me see what he got, because I wrote it down. Mavericks got A. Davis, Max Christie, and a 229 first round. And he's going to play with Kyrie Irving, who's 32, and Klay Thompson, who's 34. The thing is, if I want to make a trade like that, because everybody would be interested, and that's what a lot of people are saying, they call everybody blindsided because they could have went to other teams and possibly got a better deal out of this. Ricky Ricks, what's going on? I think that I would have went out to Oklahoma City because that appears to be the biggest threat right now to come out of the West. So why not trade with them and see if you can knock the wheels off them? All right. Masai or Ronaldo? Oh, Messi or Ronaldo? I'm not big into that. I know Messi more than I know about Ronaldo, so I have to say Messi. Luka and AD on Dallas makes more sense to me than Luka and Kyrie, especially if defense what matters. Well, the Lakers clearly took a step back defensively, but the thing is, this day and age, it's not all about defense. It's about who can make the most three-point shots. And the guy asked me earlier, I forget who it was, what I thought about the Bad Boys era. These guys nowadays, they can't pound the ball down inside and play tough inside basketball like they did years ago. And that's the difference between the eras. Now, I do think the three-point shot was good for the game because it opened the game up. You could beat a team in more ways now with a three-point shot. But to depend strictly on the three-point shot, I don't think that's a good idea. Just hollered at Ricky Ricks. I don't think OKC would trade for Luka. They already got Shea. Yeah, but I remember when the Rockets had Elijah Wan and Sam, not Sam, but Ralph, what's his name? Ralph Sampson. So you put one out there, let him dominate, put the other guy out there. Then you go really big, put two centers on the floor. You get a guy that can shoot 3-pointers, then you got the boards locked up. So just like they didn't think you would trade for Luka, why not pair one another big guy? It's not out of the question. All right, I think Mavs win short term, Lakers win long term. Well, not really, because Luka is up for free agency after the 26th season. As you recall, they have TV money that's going to raise the salaries. They're talking about having a player with $1 billion contract come out of this next round of TV deals. And if that's the case, Luka just might be the one. Had he stayed with Dallas, he was going to get the max contract of $345 million this year. So it actually helps him to possibly get a longer deal, a better deal in 2 years. So I would be crying about my 345, but when you look at it, he might just be in a better position right now. So I don't know. But the Lakers, the question they have is, what are they going to do with LeBron? I don't know if LeBron's going to be happy about this trade or not. His defense just took a step back, and I don't think he can carry a team all the way like he did before. And they might just be getting ready to tell LeBron, look here, man, it was nice, but I think it's time for you to sail on off into the sunset, and while you're at it, take your son with you, because we already see that he's not ready to play. All right. Okay, so it's about to be in trouble when they have to pay everyone. Same thing what happened to the Rockets. Yeah, it eventually happens to everybody, but I don't know if, well, I'll take it this way. You're probably right there, because the players nowadays, all they care about is money. They're not concerned about championships. Again, a relation back to the Bad Boys era. Those guys wanted to win. Yeah, they wanted to get paid, but they didn't foresee anything like what's going on today. What would those guys be worth nowadays? But I think that when you start introducing the element of money, you'll leave a good situation to go to a bad situation if it's going to set you up for life. So I don't know. Rick says LeBron is happy he has someone he can rely on to score, especially in the clutch. Yeah, he does, but who's going to defend for him? Both those guys inside, somebody's got to go out and try to defend that perimeter. Who's going to get? Bronny? He ain't ready yet. But I think when you say that the Lakers could win in the long run, if they can sign Luka to remain with the Lakers, then you have your centerpiece for years. But I got a feeling that he's only going to stay there for a minute, and he's going to leverage that new contract with the TVs to as much as he can get. And it would only make sense for him to do that. All right, let's go check this poll. Can Davis be trusted to stay healthy? Most of you are saying no, 62 to 38 right now. So, again, I don't think my thinking is off base. I think that Davis, he can play, but the question is, can you get him out on the floor? You know, just like a car. That car can outrun me, and he can get me faster to where I'm going than I can myself. But the question is, will it turn over in the morning? And sometimes cars leave you stranded, man. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see how LeBron goes out. He's not happy right now with the way people are talking about his son, which you can understand because that's his son. But I think they did the kid a disservice by forcing him out of college. He should have stayed in college and developed his game, and then he would have been he would have been in a better position to play in the NBA had he just developed more. But what I understand, his younger brother is going to be more ready to play than he is. So he'll probably be the one carrying on LeBron's name more so than this guy. I think the pressure is just too much for him, and I think it's weighing him down. And I take that all the way back to that heart attack he had. I think the pressure and the stress he was under to try to get to the NBA to be with his dad was just too great for him, and I think that affected him. That's just me talking. I'm saying that allegedly, but that's just the way I feel about it. Yeah, man, these cars will put you down, man. You got to keep them gassed up and ready to go. I just need mine to keep running for another couple of years. But every time I pay one off, damn if it don't break down, I go get another one, man. So it's almost like the car guards are against me to a certain extent when it comes to me stacking some dough, man. But you know, you don't really stack real dough until you retire anyway. So I got 8 more years before I can get there. But that's a long 8 years, or it can be a short 8 years, depending on how you look at it, man. But anyway, I appreciate you guys though hanging out with me. Ricky Ricks, what you think about the quarterback situation in college? Are you going to take Shador? You're going to take Cam Ward? Or you're going to take the new hot child, Jackson Dart? Dart, you know, if he transferred out of USC and he went over to Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin, put up some big numbers over there. And I thought he was a pretty good quarterback, but he hit and miss like a lot of them. And a lot of them saying that Kiffin's system is the reason for his success. Well, it don't make a difference what kind of system you're in. If you can't stand in there and throw it to the right guy when you have to throw it, then I don't think the system's got anything to do with it. You got to be able to make the right read and put it where it needs to be. And he did that, in my opinion. And now after the Senior Bowl, his stock is rising. So some people are thinking that maybe Ward and Sanders just might not be the best quarterbacks out there. All right. Cam all day tomorrow? Yeah, I think Cam, he's a worker. You know, the kid come out of high school, he didn't have any stars. Then he went to junior college and then to Utah, and then, no, he went somewhere else before Utah. Then he went to Utah, then he went down to Miami. Now the kid put himself in position to be set. The flip side of that, Deion was always the coach of his son. So he pretty much dragged him along from place to place and make sure he got everything's great. Now the kid can play. I'm not saying that he's only there because his dad dragged him along. I'm saying that he had his dad there with him the whole time, whereas in Ward had to do it himself. And Dart, I forget what happened to him. I think he got hurt his freshman year, and then he ended up going to Ole Miss. Yeah, he was doing pretty good his freshman year, and then he got hurt. So Bruce says Cam over Shador. Shador reminds me of a worse version of C.J. Stroud. Well, I don't really have a problem with C.J. Stroud. Stroud got a big heart, and he's consistent. There's times when he make a lot of bad throws, but these defensive coordinators, they study you all year. So even though the season is over with, these guys are breaking down tape, and they pretty much know who they're going to be facing, especially division rivals. They're already getting ready. It's just like me. I told you guys before, I'm up for a head coaching job, and I should hear about that in the next week or so about who's going to get that job. And I stand a pretty good chance of getting it. If I do get it, I'm already getting ready for it, even though I hadn't been awarded anything. So it would be to the school's advantage to hire me because I'm already well ahead over anybody that can come in. And I don't care if you got 4 or 5 state championships. I already laid the foundation of what's going to take place, and I'm doing the due diligence about what's going to happen in this upcoming season. And I'm saying that to say that these guys, C.J. Stroud, you see the drop-off that he had this year as compared to last year, is because these guys are always working to try to figure you out. And if you keep doing something and you keep showing a bad habit, eventually those guys are going to get to you, and they're going to figure you out, and you're going to have to adjust your game. So I expect C.J. Stroud to come back to be a better player this year than he was last year, because he has to adjust the same way they adjusted to him. So when you say Shador is a worse version of C.J., I think Shador's problem is mobility. He got chased down by some college guys, and he ain't the same as being chased down by those NFL guys. So my question is, if he goes to a team that can protect him, great, he's going to do great. But if he goes to a team, and if he goes in the first round, you know he's probably going to end up on a bad team, and he has to be thrown out there like and you don't really have much grace period now with Jaden Daniels doing what he did. The rookie quarterbacks are expected to perform just like he did. He doesn't have that cushion anymore. So he's going to get out there and he's going to have to play. But I think Sanders, if he can get a line that protects him and he can throw the ball and not have to escape the pocket too much, I think he'll be effective right away. But I think Sanders, he's got a big rabbit's foot in his pocket. I'm going to make a prediction right now. And just to piss everybody off, I think Sanders is going to go to the Chiefs in the late part of the first round. Could you imagine that? No, I'm just kidding. I don't think the Chiefs will. I don't see nobody going as a quarterback right now. I think Mahomes still got another, the way it's going, he might have another 10 years in him, as long as he don't get broke up. But if he keep dancing along that sideline trying to entice defenders to hit him, they're gonna make his wish true for him. He's gonna get knocked out. Yeah, the worst version of Stroud might actually be a compliment. And Maling says, Bruce, Stroud is solid. His play style just reminds me of his, but not as good. They both don't have a great offensive line. That could have something to do with it. Well, it's going to make a difference to Shador, because if he gets beat on in college, the pro's going to be anticipating beating on him some more. So he's going to have to get some mobility, go get a speed coach or something so he can escape. But he can throw the ball, but it still goes into the old saying, I never met a quarterback who can throw on his back. And if he can't escape, that's just where he's going to be, flat on his back. And Dad can't save him in that situation. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, Jackson Dart, he's moving up the charts, man. And I don't know why he wasn't high in the first place. He got over 4,000 yards. I think he got 4,000 last year, too. I know it's a kind of gentler football era, but you playing in front of some big crowds in the SEC. And the kid, a pretty good player, man. That kid's a pretty good player. So we'll see how that goes. All right, you guys trying to keep me here forever. I got to get out of here, man. But yeah, let me take the poll one last time. 67% of the people say that Davis, he can't be trusted to stay healthy. And I just put that out there to make sure I wasn't crazy, because I definitely wouldn't pick him. I wouldn't depend on him to lead my teams, man. But yeah, just to recap again, $4,500 to $5,000 a night to stay in the hotels in New Orleans for Super Bowl week. And you know you're not going to be there by yourself. And Kansas City put out an all-inclusive package for their fans, only at the great price of $18,500 per person. So if it's you and your old lady, you just spent $37,000 on 2 tickets. But at least you got somewhere to stay. You don't have to worry about that $5,000 a night tag. But you're gonna have some kind of field access. You got airfare and all of that taken care of. So $18,500, I guess that's cheap compared to what you could have paid if you didn't have the connections of your team making it to the Super Bowl. But I still don't see how all that is worth it, man. Especially when I can stay in the comfort of home and watch this stuff on TV, man. Because that's probably the best place to be anyway. Stay away from all those rowdy people. Oh, $37,000. I paid $37,000 over a 15-year period. If you give me 15 tickets to the Super Bowl, I finance $37,000 at a 0 interest rate and just pay it out that way. And if I get tired of paying, then you give me back all the money that I put in. I take that deal, because after about 3 years, all the money I put in, that'd be just like a savings investment. Take the money back that I put in and I'm straight. But yeah, that's a lot of money, man, for football. I mean, why these people think this is so worth it? I have no idea, because it would be like this. I'd be sitting there in the third quarter and I'm counting all the money that I lost, and was it worth it? Right, maybe if it was a rich man, but not worth it to watch 60 minutes of football. Not at all. Hey, you'd be surprised if you got good enough credit, you can come up with some very low interest deals. If you, all you gotta do is ask. There's no set in stone anywhere, man. The more money you're talking about dealing with, if you can get a low interest on that, then you can negotiate that. But you got to just ask. I would just go to a good regular season match and sit in the nosebleeds. Yeah, that's good too. You can also get scalp tickets, but again, you can scalp some fraudulent tickets, and you won't know until you get in there or try to go through the gate if your tickets are real or not. So it's a chance that you're taking. But I found out that all these big events aren't quite what they cracked up to be. I once went to the Final Four in basketball. I was in New Jersey at the time, and hold up, I don't know what I just did. I was in New Jersey at the time in the 1990 Final Four in Denver. I always liked UNLV because I like the letter combination. They came up with a good team, and they ended up winning the championship that year. So I figured with everybody coming back, they had a chance to go to the Final Four. So during the championship, during the Final Four, they always put the phone number up there to call. At that time, you had to call the phone number and apply for the tickets that way. And they selected them through a lotto, at least that's what they say, to give you the impression that so many people are applying for this, that it's, you just got to do this. Well, I got 2 tickets, and it cost me at that time $40 a ticket. So I ended up with 2 tickets to go to the 91 Final Four in Indianapolis. And it was a great environment, but I wasn't blown away by it. Just turned out to be a basketball game, but I wasn't really, it didn't dawn on me at the time of what I was seeing. The 4 teams that made the Final Four that year turned out to be Kansas, coached by Roy Williams, who was under Dean Smith. They played North Carolina with Dean Smith. UNLV was coached by Tarkanian, and he was going up against Coach K of Duke. So what I was seeing there was 4 of the greatest college coaches in the history of NCAA basketball, all together in that one spot at various points of their career. Tarkanian was a great coach. He didn't win as many championships as he should have. You know what K did for Duke? And he almost got fired, by the way, because his first couple of years in Duke wasn't that great. Roy Williams, he won at Kansas, then he turned around and went to North Carolina and won some more there. So you know what he did. And of course, Dean Smith was supposed to be the man. So I had a chance to see all of them at the same venue at the same time. So looking back on it, that was great. All right. He said, NGL front row at NFL game was amazing. We buy nosebleeds and move up. Why would you move up if you got a lower seat? Why would you do that? He said you do the same in Wizards game, but okay, and move up at start of next quarter. Now I've seen most people, what they do, they buy a ticket and during the game they'll move down when they see that tickets or seats are available. Bruce says still never went to an NFL game, and I plan on going next season to a Commanders game. I've been to some Hornets games though. NFL games not bad. You have a lot of corny entertainment between, during the timeouts. Other than that, they're not bad at all. But you better save you some money for the concessions, because in Jacksonville, they got a $20 bill waiting on you. So if you like that taste of that barley, bring some money with you, because you're going to need it. All right. Yeah, it's always free to watch at home. Sit in nosebleeds. Yeah, I have to do that, man. But yeah, that Final Four was pretty cool, man. I got a chance to go to the Hoosier Dome. They tore that down once they built the new stadium. And one thing about it, Indianapolis, that Market Street reminded me a whole lot of Jacksonville and Beaver Street. It looked the same. I had to, man, am I in Jacksonville or am I in Indianapolis? But that was great. All right, let me get out of here. Old lady killed me. But anyway, I'll catch you guys in the morning, man. Again, those of you that are new, like and subscribe. Check me out. Somebody hit me with a super chat last week, and that's the first time I've seen one of those, man. I don't know how that works, but I appreciate it if I could ever get another super chat. So put that in your stocking cap, man. Keep me on your list of super chats, man. That would be great if I could ever get one. I didn't think it was possible, but somebody actually hit me up on one, and I thought it was great. I was very appreciative. Even one for $2. I don't care if it was 2 cents. He thought that much of me to send me $2, and I thought that was great, and I appreciate it. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the morning. Hope you like and subscribe. Guys coming back, Bruce Lean, Ricky Ricks. Who else can I holler at here? Blue Snowball. All you guys, man, wherever you are in the world. Have a great day, man. And we only got another 7 days before they're going to tee it up, man. About this time next week, we'll be down to less than 2 hours. So I'm looking forward to it. But you can have all the highlights of the Super Bowl performance and all that. Just tell me what time they're going to kick it off, and I'll meet you there. So until then, wherever you are in the world, man, you guys have a great day, and I'll catch you on the other side. This is Sports for Real, Coach Hall. I'm out. All right, Ricks, take it easy. Peace. I'd be happy with 1,000. I don't think I got